Myths podcast with your host, Chris Stolle, presented by Realm of the Myths Entertainment. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Realm of the Myths podcast. I am Chris Stolle, and with me is the host with the most from War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, Mr. John Tolly. How you doing, John?
Hola, Christopher.
Oh, that's right. We just passed Cinco de Mayo, or as normal people call it, Sunday. Sorry, I have my own personal opinions about Cinco de Mayo. It never made sense to me to be celebrated in the United States, but neither here nor there. Neither here nor there.
Yeah.
We're here to talk entertainment tonight. Unfortunately, we got some bad news, we got some great news, and we got some...
Wait. We're talking. Are we talking about entertainment tonight, or are we talking about the show Entertainment Tonight?
Oh, not the show Entertainment Tonight. The hell with
Okay,
that.
okay.
We're better than that show. I don't even get my news from Entertainment Tonight.
We are.
I don't even get my news reports from Entertainment Tonight for bringing on the show. It hasn't been right since Joan Rivers. No. Might as well get the bad news out of the way first. Unfortunately, to all my Star Wars fans, it's fitting that I have the host of a Star Wars podcast here. Unfortunately, we have lost Chewbacca, a.k.a. Longtime actor Peter Mayhew passed away April 30th. He was 75 years old. He's survived by a wife and child. Well, child as an adult, but still his child. Crushing blow, John. What do you think, man?
I mean, it's anytime you lose, an actor, no matter who it is, it's always bad, but it's always sad. But for someone who brought so much joy to people's lives and was such an iconic character, and I mean, yes, I know that this character will live on with other actors, but the original Chewbacca is, he's no longer with us. And, it just brings everything more into focus because, last year we lost Carrie Fisher. This year we lost Peter Mayhew. We've also already lost
Kenny Baker.
And you look at someone like David Prowse, who's not getting any younger and whose health is not doing good, and even Harrison Ford is in his 70s now. Right. All these people are getting up there in age, and it's not going to be long before we be seeing Harrison Ford has passed away. Even Mark Hamill.
Bite your tongue.
He's.
Yeah. No, but you're absolutely right.
But yeah, you're right. And even my mom, who's not a Star Wars fan, when I told her, and when you're younger than us, you look at someone 74 and you think, wow, that's he lived a good life. But my mom, who's 75, she looks at it, it's like that's still young. I'm 75. That's not it with today's medicine and today, technology. 75 is not. It's old, but it's not old. People now live way past their 70s.
Well, you also got to remember too that this guy, first off, he wasn't really an actor. The only role he ever played was Chewbacca. When they found him, he was a orderly at a hospital in Yorkshire. And what really got him the role, besides his personality, was the fact that he did suffer from a form of giantism. Mm-hmm. The same thing as like Andre the Giant, in a sense. I mean, what was Peter Mayhew, 8'3"?
Oh, I'd have to look that up, actually.
He was a very, very tall man, and one thing I've learned from people who have that extraordinary height is they usually do come with a lot of health issues. I mean, during the filmings of like Force Awakens and Last Jedi, they brought in a body double for Chewbacca standing. Peter Mayhew only played the guy sitting down.
Yeah,
because his physique just couldn't handle it.
He was 7'3".
7'3". Okay, I was off by a foot.
Yeah, he was 7'3".
But still, 7'3". You think about that. How many 7'3" people are there in this world?
Not many. Not most of them are either in the NBA or professional wrestlers, probably.
Right, and in pro wrestling, half the time it's exaggerated.
Yeah,
you know, I was billed at 212 pounds at 6'1", and really I was 5'11" and $180 at best. So you exaggerate in wrestling. So
yeah. What? Wait. Are you telling me that they're not everything in wrestling is real?
No, I'm not telling you that.
You're like, I'm not saying.
I'm not saying that at all. It's a work. So anyway, so, and it's just it speaks volumes to the man because he was very beloved and cherished in the Star Wars community, particularly by his co-stars.
Yes.
And also,
and it goes. I mean, you can see that in the fact that, yes, you expect Mark Hamill to say something, but when reading Harrison Ford's comments about his relationship and how good of how much he enjoyed working with him and how good of a friend he was, someone who is gone on record as not being very having a good relationship with Star Wars, and just even sees Harrison Ford say, I really this man was a friend, and I really appreciated working with this man, and I'm going to miss him. Just shows how much he meant to his co-stars.
Well, that's exactly it. And I've read many stories from like Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, many of the different casts where he was always in for a laugh. He was very warm and caring, and he was a drinker, so of course most of the cast are like that. So, and it really translated on screen. I mean, to kind of compare him a little bit to Kevin Smith, it takes a special kind of talent to be able to portray emotion and a believable character in something that doesn't speak. I used to use Kevin Smith as a perfect example to train wrestlers about telling stories with their body motions because of Silent Bob's reactions, where you knew his emotions, you knew what he was thinking, whatever, just from facial expressions or movements.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, Chewbacca, when he was written on paper, it was just big, tall thing roars. The character, the personality of the character came from Peter Mayhew himself, and that's what we fell in love with.
Yeah, read someone, I can't remember where I read it at, but they said that Chewbacca said so much without uttering a single intelligible word.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all down to Peter Mayhew, being able to convey all this emotion, and even though you didn't understand, you always got the gist of what Chewbacca was saying.
Exactly. And he the biggest thing about Peter Mayhew that I take away, besides the fact that he's a part of my childhood, I mean, Chewbacca ranks there with like the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus to me. I want to believe he's so real, and it's because of Peter Mayhew.
Yes.
And I mean, what can you say about this man? This man is an absolute genius when it comes to what he did. But the big thing that you take away from Peter Mayhew is how much he loved Star Wars. He loved the fandom. He loved the character of Chewbacca. He considered it his greatest achievement in life that he got to play this role. And I can understand that because it's the only role he ever played. He was an orderly.
Yeah.
And he became a household name. An orderly became a household name because of 20 pounds of carpet.
Yeah. And one thing I always found interesting about the Chewbacca character, and really going in, and I saw this, someone pointed this out, the relationship between Han and Chewie was, a lot of people always relate it to a man and his pet, a man and his dog. But what they don't realize, and someone, I can't remember, I have to find it again, but they pointed out was, most people think that it was Han was the man and Chewie was the dog, but no, it was the other way around.
It really was.
Han was Chewie's dog.
It really was. Chewie kept Han on the straight and narrow. Han,
yes.
If Solo taught us anything, it taught us that.
Well, think about it. Who was the first person that when they were looking to get passage to Alderaan, who was the first person that Obi-Wan talked to? It wasn't Han. It was Chewie.
Well, Chewie
And he's
knew,
like, yeah.
Chewie knew the Jedi Order before they disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how he was friends with Yoda.
Yeah.
Chewie went places and did things, man. But I mean, the character was designed. Lucas had designed the character based on his own dog.
Yeah.
And how the dog would always ride in the front seat with him in the car. So, seeing the master and pet dynamic, the best friends that we have with our animals, it makes perfect sense between Han and Chewie. And again, a testament to the actors that Harrison and, Peter were able to translate that on screen.
And to have such good chemistry. I mean, for, Harrison, who at that time, he still was a young actor, but he still had been in a few roles and was, a seasoned actor, had a few roles. And then you have this relatively newcomer who probably, I don't know if he'd ever been even on stage before. And suddenly, he's thrust in this big movie, and just to see the chemistry that those two had together was, amazing.
No, absolutely. So, the long and the short of it is that, he is going to be greatly, greatly missed. I know we have a new actor, so like John said, Chewbacca will live on. And yes, this new actor, I forget his name. It's a weird Swedish name. But I know he was trained by Peter Mayhew to play the role, so he mimics it perfectly. But anytime I see the character on screen, the only person I'm ever going to see is Peter Mayhew.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, rest in peace, buddy. Condolences to his friends and family, to the Star Wars community. You will be missed.
Yes. He's one with the Force.
He's one with the Force. He is giving a big hug to Carrie Fisher right now.
And hopefully he got his medal.
Yeah. God damn
I love
it.
the pictures. They got the pictures of him going up to heaven and Carrie Fisher, little baby Carrie Fisher, giving him his medal.
Yeah.
It was really sweet.
I saw a couple of them. I saw where he was walking into the pearly gates and there's R2 and Leia waiting for him. I've seen other ones where, Akbar was there waiting as well. Because
Be careful. It might be a trap.
It might be a trap. But you got to remember that Admiral Akbar, the voice of Admiral Akbar, also passed away.
Oh. Yeah.
So... And the original voice of Boba Fett before they revamped the voice to fit the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
The original one put Captain Solo in the cargo hold. That guy, he's also passed away too. So, what's going to be funny in the end?
What's that?
In the end, Porkins will be the one that survives. Laughed at my weight all this time. I told you I can handle it.
Poor Porkins.
Yeah, poor Porkins. So, let's see if I can add this person in here. While we do so, let's go ahead and talk a little bit. I'll get you started on it. We'll save Game of Thrones for last.
Okay.
Because I know we can get you involved with this. Talking about Spider-Man Far From Home has released its second, or is it the second? I think it's the second. We had the teaser,
second.
We had the first, so it is the second trailer.
Yeah, second official trailer, yeah.
Dropped today. Heavy spoilerific for people who have not yet seen Endgame. So just because we're going to talk a little bit of the trailer, I'm going to play this right now.
Oh, you fucking twat. We got ourselves a fucking spoiler.
There we go. Just to let you guys know that this is going to be a spoiler. Warning, 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 warning. If you continue listening on and you have not seen
Endgame, If you haven't seen Endgame, do you live in Zimbabwe? And no offense to people who live in Zimbabwe, but I mean, at this point, I mean, really, most people have probably seen Endgame by now. Even the directors have said that the spoiler warning that the spoiler time is up. So,
no, I agree. If you haven't seen Endgame yet, by now you have no intentions of doing so.
Yeah,
but the fact of the matter is, it's not coming up. I have to let him know. But the fact of the matter is if you haven't seen Endgame yet and you want to see Endgame, stay away from the trailer. Stay away from this review. Stop right now. Stop listening to us because we're going to be talking about it. There is going to be some spoilers in the trailer from the conversation of the trailer. Go see Endgame, then come back. That's your warning.
Oh. Okay.
But like we both agreed, if you haven't seen it yet, you're probably not going to.
Yeah. Either that or you live in some far-off hut in the middle of nowhere and,
Exactly. So the long and the short, it starts off with Spider-Man in the Iron Man suit on top of a building somewhere, and close by is a mural dedicated to Iron Man, and we have Peter talking about everywhere he looks, he still sees Tony's face. So right off the bat, we're getting the feels of this is happening directly after Endgame. Well, not too far after Endgame, I should say.
Yeah.
Which completely counteracts when the first the teaser and the first trailer dropped. And they were very careful not to spoil anything, and we all got we're given the impression that Far From Home was going to take place before Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. Kevin Feige has already said that this takes place. It starts up mere minutes after Endgame.
Right, but I'm saying when they first, before he announced that, when they released the first two trailers, and we were still in Infinity War and Endgame had nowhere near come close to release yet, we were led to believe that this was going to be kind of like Ant-Man and Wasp, that this was going to be taking place beforehand.
Yeah.
Or Captain Marvel, for example. So we find out that it's proper place and time in this trailer, and it's directly after the death of Tony Stark. Mm-hmm. And Spider-Man himself is trying to pick up the pieces while still doing the Spider-Man thing. He's still accepting the fact that his role is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, even though he is officially an Avenger. He took Tony's advice to heart and decided to remain the New York guy.
Yeah.
Until S.H.I.E.L.D. comes a-calling.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to avoid it in the trailer. He tries to avoid being talked to by Nick Fury and everything else. He wants to go on his field trip with his school, talk to Mary Jane, and try living a normal life.
Mm.
And from there, we are getting dragged into a whole mess of stuff where we get introduced to the character of Mysterio. He comes from an alternate Earth. Apparently, he's kind of an anti-hero villain in this. At least that's the way the trailer is presenting. That he's actually attempting to, be a savior to his Earth, to his multiverse planet.
Well, that's one possibility. There's also the possibility that he is just using that as an excuse. And that, I think that's going to be the big question throughout the movie is whose side is Mysterio really on? Is he really the anti-hero, or is he just using this to make himself look better than he actually is? And will we find out that in the end Mysterio really is the villain? Or does he become a villain? Is it one of those things where he's using a little bit more, shall we say, extreme measures to fight the who looks like going to be the villains in this one? It looks like we got Molten Man, Sandman, and I can't think who the water guy is. And at the end,
Hydra, wasn't it?
Hydro Man. And in the end, do we kind of see Mysterio kind of turn bad because Spider-Man kind of puts him in his place?
That's exactly it.
Is that?
And you're right. And I mean, there was a lot of things to be seen there. I mean, we don't know because obviously it's not the movie. But the way it does seem that they're projecting now, whether it's direct actions of Spider-Man that turns Mysterio, or if Mysterio is pulling the old smoke and mirrors, forgive the pun, on this Earth just to get help for him for his world dominance or whatever the case may be, it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But in the trailer itself, it seems that what they're trying to present to you is that he is kind of an anti-hero.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I noticed is that it looks like in this movie, Spidey is kind of trying to learn the lessons that Thor kind of learned in Endgame, where with Thor, the big lesson he had to learn in the end, of course, was don't try to be who people want you to be, just be who you are. And in this one, it looks like everyone's expecting Spider-Man to pick up the mantle of Iron Man.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and he's rejecting it.
And you even see, people, Happy even says he wouldn't have done this if he didn't think you were capable of doing this. Even, Fury telling him, you need to step up. You need to step up. And all this whole time, Peter, he just wants to be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to add a responsibility of taking on the mantle of Iron Man 2. He's just like, I'm just happy taking out a few thugs and a few, petty criminals in New York. I don't want to deal with, all this other stuff. And, everyone's kind of telling him that, hey, you have to step up. This is your city now.
Hey, real quick, not to interrupt you, just let everybody here listening to the podcast know we are being joined by the host of Delivery Brothers Podcast, new to Realm of the Mist Entertainment, Mr. Anthony Anthem. Anthony, are you there?
Yes. How we doing today?
We doing good. How you doing, brother?
Yes, I can.
All right, cool.
Did you hear it?
Doing?
Did you hear any of that? I hear you.
We hear you.
Okay,
do you hear us?
Yes,
yeah,
I can.
I muted my speaker there for a second, and I was going on Did you hear anything that I was saying?
I heard.
I only got in on the brief.
Okay.
Brief kind of settle. So what exactly has been going on?
Not a lot. We just got done talking about Peter Mayhew. Now we're hitting into the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. Have you seen the trailer?
Oh, yes, I have.
All right, so. All right, cool. Well, we're talking. We're at a point now where we're talking about how the trailer seems to be presenting not only Mysterio as kind of an anti-hero, at least that's what we're being led to believe at the moment. Obviously, won't know until the movie, but also the fact that Peter is being kind of dragged into the role of being Iron Man 2. Where Peter's kind of rejecting that idea and just wants to remain the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Is that pretty much what you've gotten from the trailer as well?
Yeah, and I also saw a glimpse of Noir Spider-Man in there as well.
I was going to get to that where we have a black suited Spider-Man, but it's not necessarily a symbiote.
Yeah, it's the stealth suit.
Is it the stealth suit? Okay, for a minute there, I almost got excited. I was just like, "What is Noir Spider-Man doing here?" That was actually one of my favorites.
It's the stealth suit, but speaking of Noir Spider-Man, I do think this is a really officially bringing in the multiverse into the MCU is a good way to kind of bridge that gap between this Spider-Man and the Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse, and you can kind of get that and kind of bring in those characters or take the characters from this universe into the Sony universe and have that crossover. I think that's a really brilliant way to do this. That.
Well, he does.
We have the technology.
Well,
yeah.
they do mention that in the trailer when Nick is telling him that Mysterio is from an alternate Earth, and Peter puts that together. Are you telling me there's a multiverse? I caught that, and right off the bat, my ears perked like, well, here comes Miles Morales, here comes Spider-Gwen, hell, here comes Spider-Ham to live action.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I had a nerdgasm.
So here's a question for you guys. And I was just thinking this too, that this would be now that Disney Marvel owns the rights to owns all the Fox, 20th Century Fox. Do you think I was thinking that this would be a great way to at least do a soft introduction to some of the characters, especially the Fantastic Four. And you don't even have to do a full on, here's, you can just have a name mention. Just have a mention the background of because they're in New York, the Fantastic Four in New York, so you can just have a mention of Reed Richards, of him trying to get a job somewhere or something like that, and looking for scholarships or something like that. Now that Tony's gone, and he could say something like, "Well, there's always Reed Richards."
Well, I do know since the Fox buyout that I don't know how factual this is, so take this with a grain of salt. But I have seen a listing of what is supposed to be the next phase of Marvel movies, and listed for this coming cycle is a new Fantastic Four movie. I don't know.
So they're going to try another reboot.
Going to try another reboot. So I don't know any.
I'm a little.
Yeah, I hope they don't do another full origin story of the Fantastic Four, because we've seen it twice already, and I think most people who see it already kind of know the story. So I think if they do another Fantastic Four movie, they should just already have them as a unit together.
Well, I mean, they've proven with Spider-Man that you don't need the origin story.
Yeah,
Spider-Man Homecoming, knowing that we've already seen Amazing Spider-Man, knowing that we've seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, knowing that most of us have read the comics since we were kids, we know how Spider-Man became Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So when Homecoming, that was refreshing to have the first movie of a new reboot, and it's just, look, he's already Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's it was kind of, some people might have missed it, a little Easter egg in Avenger in Endgame, and if they want to do sort of an out of the box villain for a Fantastic Four movie, there was the scene where they're all the holograms are there, and they're talking to Natasha, and I can't remember her name, the Wakandan, says that there was an earthquake under the African plate.
Right.
And a lot of people are speculating that could be the first mention of Namor.
The Submariner.
And I think that could be an interesting villain, an out-of-the-box villain to bring for the Fantastic Four, because he has had in the comics a lot of connection and a lot of dealings with the Fantastic Four. So instead of doing like your typical Doctor Doom or even bringing in Galactus, maybe for the first movie have Namor be the villain for the Fantastic Four.
Well, I mean, it makes sense too to bring the Fantastic Four back to the main screen and into the MCU, because you got to replace Tony Stark. So who would be the best foil to replace Tony other than Reed Richards?
Yeah.
I mean, to be quite honest, that's the one that equals him in IQ. You want to go there?
Well, I mean, you got Banner.
Right, we got Professor Hulk, but Professor Hulk in this MCU universe only just became Professor Hulk, number one. Number two, I mean, Banner's always been intelligent, but he kind of worked best playing off of Tony. Now that Tony's not there, who does he have to really bounce off of?
Plus, on top of that, the instability of a Banner himself, it wouldn't be a good person to depend on. I don't think so. So I think Reed Richards would be the way to go on that one. I mean, that's just my personal thought on that one, just because of the fact that if you look at some of the comics and crossovers, I see a better development if they use Reed Richards.
Yeah.
You look at how like him and Tony Stark collaborated over the years. Even in like the actual Civil War comic, they both were both on the same side of that coin.
Mm-hmm.
He was Team Iron Man. You want to go there?
You're absolutely right. And again, I mean, there's plenty of smart characters out there in the Marvel comic books, and you know, when we talk about Fox, we already know that every X-Men character is going to be rebooted into the MCU with the exception of Deadpool. You know, Deadpool, that you can't do anything better than what Ryan Reynolds has brought to the role. So you
oh my God, yes.
So you don't reboot Deadpool, but everybody else to get it to fit into the MCU, yeah, it makes perfect sense. But you know, with that being said, who do you get? Beast or Professor Xavier? They're not on the level of Tony Stark.
Rosie.
No, they're not. They're intelligent, but they ain't that intelligent.
Exactly.
Oh, wait a minute. Since we're on the subject of the new Phase, what is your guys' thought on the fact they're going to make a live-action Silver Surfer?
I'm for it. As long as we get a proper Galactus for him to fight, and we don't go the way of like Green Lantern, where you know Parallax was just a space cloud.
Yeah.
Ew.
You know what I mean? As long as we get a proper...
I'm trying to burn that from my guys.
You're trying to what?
Oh. I'm literally trying to bleach my brain from that situation.
You know, it's funny. I've talked about Green Lantern before, and I always say, like, you know, and it almost makes me sound like a Ryan Reynolds fanboy, but I don't think he was terrible in the movie. It was just a terrible movie.
Yeah. Oh, it was just a garbage movie. Yeah, nothing to do with Ryan. Ryan did his role.
Hold on 1 second, guys. My dog just walked out of the room, and it's a puppy, so I don't trust it when it gets out of the room, out of my sight.
Oh,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you there. But
those are the ones you need to watch the most.
So I'm not familiar enough with the Silver Surfer story arc. I know that his main villain was Galactus. But beyond that, I don't know any of like his sub villains that he would have interacted with in one way, shape, or form. But I'm all for it. I know he's got a huge following, and
oh yeah,
one of the nice things about this phase that it looks like thus far is we're going to be taking a look more into the non-mainstream characters of Marvel. And when you look at what phase 1 through 4, I guess you call this, we took B-list superheroes and turned them into household names. So imagine what they could do with a Silver Surfer or the Defenders or the Thunderbolts, you know, and really...
Oh, I was shocked when I saw that one. I was excited, though. I was super excited. I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen that since the 90s. Woo!
And I'm super excited that there's talks of the writers of the Avengers Infinity War and Endgames want to take a crack at Moon Knight.
Oh,
that would be so... Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would love to see a live action of Moon Knight.
Oh my God! If Batman and Deadpool had a bastard child, it'd be Moon Knight.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had a moment where I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes!" I had to smoke a cigarette afterwards. I don't even smoke cigarettes.
Moon Knight's an insane character. So if they get their way, and I mean, how do you say no to these guys? How do you say no to the writers of Endgame and Infinity War?
That made them billions of dollars.
Exactly. I mean, Endgame alone made over $1 billion in a weekend. It half the total of Force Awakens in a weekend.
Yeah, they're already expecting that it will probably beat after the adjusted gross and everything like that. Probably will beat Gone with the Wind to be the highest grossing movie of all time.
Is it Gone with the Wind? I thought Titanic had that spot.
After you adjust for after you adjust for gross, it's Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the adjusted for the time period for today. Gone with the Wind is still the highest grossing movie. It would make some. I can't remember what it would have made, but yeah, it's still Gone with the Wind.
Think about it. Let's take a moment and just think. I know we're talking about Spider-Man, but let's take a moment and think about this. It is 2019.
Yes.
Okay, we're all in our 20s to 40s. We're somewhere range in there, right?
I'll be 30 in this August. I'm feeling old.
There you go. You're 30. I'm 42. John, I believe you're 42 as well.
Yeah.
41. About
42 years young.
41.
With that.
We live in a world where, and you know what, Gone with the Wind is not my cup of tea, but I recognize the fact that it is a cinematic masterpiece. And now we are possibly going to be living in a world where we got to see something be that much greater of a masterpiece than Gone with the Wind. Something that, quite honestly, was never taken seriously by a lot of people when it first started out. A comic book movie, a silly action-adventure movie, has the possibilities on track to be becoming the highest-grossing film in history.
Wow.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me think, though, because of the fact that I never imagined that we would get to this point, especially as me, as a person that's in the nerd community in a lot of different aspects. Like the fact that a superhero movie is that popular or just gaining so much attention. I mean, it does help that we got some great actors. I mean, it's a dream come true to me, man.
Oh, absolutely. But when you cinematically, when you break it down to its essentials, it's a silly action flick. Yeah. You know, all the Marvel films are a silly action flick. And, you know, like you said, in the nerd community, when we watch our films, the closest achievement we ever got, besides, like, you know, Star Wars getting sound and editing, the closest we ever got was Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings taking home an Oscar.
Yeah.
You know, and now we got a film, now we have a nerd film that's looking to become the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah. But here's the question: with all the money that it makes, do you think it will get an Oscar nod for anything other than special effects?
I don't know.
I think it should.
I mean, Black Panther got it.
Yeah. Thank you. I did forget about that. Black Panther got a lot of awards too. So that's another achievement in the nerd community. I did completely space that. I did completely space that. I was just on the Oscar, the Best Picture Oscar or Best Director Oscar for Peter Jackson. But you know, you're absolutely right, Black Panther. But I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of phenomenal performances in this film. A lot of areas where you take away the bang boom pow, and you got some. I can name at least 3 moments in Endgame that give you the feels where you're wiping away tears, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, in basically the first almost half of that movie, there's not a ton of action. You don't really get into any big action scenes until they go back in time, and then you got to have a couple, but then as far as like any big action scenes, it's not until almost the last act with the big battle.
Right.
So,
but even in the big battle, you had a couple moments of I almost want to say serenity, but it allowed for the actor's acting ability to shine through, you know, or the storytelling to take place and to not just be an assault on senses as far as like special effects and action.
Yeah.
You know, so that's hard to say. I mean, will it break the stigma that, you know, big budget action films can't have Best Picture? I don't know, but
I think we're getting there. I say give it a couple more years. I say give it a couple more years because I think Black Panther winning an Oscar, and I mean, you saw what the cast was like in Black Panther. I mean, we know what the cast is like even in just the Avengers series. Right? They're top-notch actors. Like, besides doing superhero movies, they're out doing like timeless classics that people will watch over and over again.
Yeah.
Outside the Marvel universe. So the way they're picking their actors to play these roles, I think there is a high chance we're going to see somebody in the next couple of years become best actor, and they're one of our favorite superheroes. I see it coming, especially if it's really empowering. I think it's gonna.
Well, I mean,
I think it's gonna be great.
Look at how the world has changed in the movie industry for comic book superheroes. Remember back in the Tim Burton Batman days, after Batman Returns, they announced they wanted to do Batman Forever, and Michael Keaton turned down the role because he didn't want to be typecasted. Now we have
Batman.
Yeah, now we have actors like Robert Downey Jr., who signed on for 11 years as Iron Man. Thor stating that he'll play Thor Chris Hemsworth playing Thor as long as Marvel wants him to play it. Like, what a difference the world is now, where actors are recognizing that these are iconic characters and iconic films, and they don't want to give up those roles.
As far as Chris Hemsworth goes, as long as he continues to play Chunky Thor, I'm all for it. Chunky Thor, Thick Thor is my spirit animal. I'm sorry, I love Fat Thor.
That was my first thought when I saw him in the movie without his shirt on and he all blubbered out. I'm like, thank you, Chris Hemsworth. Now I have somebody I could cosplay at a con.
Right? Like, it's like you gotta realize, like, everybody saw him when he first came out of the store. Rippling nabs, looking like an Adonis, and all the girls were like, oh, I can't wait to have a fantasy with Thor. I mean, Chris Hemsworth. And now he's like, oh, that's an attainable goal.
Yeah,
I might be able to swing my hammer yet.
And that damn line from Rocket when he sees him too. It's like, you look like melted ice cream.
I realized that doesn't Bradley Cooper play Rocket Raccoon?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
when, great. Tony walks past him and does the Lebowski line.
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing I thought was, it's the dude.
Oh my god.
Oh.
And the sad part is, you see Chris Hemsworth outside of Endgame, like going to the premieres and everything. I don't know if it was a bodysuit or CGI digitation, but like when I saw him in the movie, I would have believed Chris Hemsworth put on that weight.
Yeah.
And then seeing him afterwards is like, where the hell I want to go on his diet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should probably in 9
cents.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sure that's what the Raw be eating. He be eating like 9 seconds a day.
Right.
While we're still on talking about Endgame, did you guys have a nerd out moment the minute Cap said Avengers Assemble?
Oh,
the fact that we've been waiting all for, and I never realized that at least Cap has never said that line in any of the movies, and finally to hear him say Avengers Assemble, I would just like shivers down my spine. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Well, when you think about it, he was the first Avenger in the MCU, but he wasn't the leader. Tony was.
Yeah.
This is the first time he had to step up in the leadership role of the Avengers. So yeah. It was absolutely hearing him Avengers Assemble, and the way he dramatically delivered it. It wasn't just like the comic book Avengers Assemble. It was Avengers.
And then
with the old school USA.
Yeah, with the shield and holding Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm.
That was when he grabbed Mjolnir. I'm just like, yes.
But I'll be honest with you. I mean, again, Chris Evans stole the movie for me with one line. That is America's ass.
Yes.
I loud as shit laughed.
Oh my god, not
that.
America's ass. I've been seeing memes all over the place about that. If I hear that shit one more time.
But it was
I'll admit, the second time, I've seen it twice now. I made it through the second time pretty good until the end when Tony said, "I love you 3000."
Which in its own right has become a meme.
Yes, I'm just like, oh, right in the heart. No.
Don't you just die inside?
Well, did you see that thing where somebody did the math of all the time of all 11 years, all 23 movies, including Endgame? They did the math of the running time of all of them, and it was 3,000 minutes.
Wow. What? Oh, and you're talking about great acting. I totally believed Tony as a father.
Oh my God, yeah. I want Tony as a father.
Yes. I'm like, I want to be that little girl. I want Tony Stark as my dad.
Does he want to like adopt a 29-year-old? Because I would totally be down for that. I'll be Anthony Anthem Stark.
Right. Well, I mean, again, let's talk about like life-changing events for the Avengers. I mean, or not just the Avengers, like comic book movies. Let's talk about what comic book movies in the MCU has done for Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Like this
guy, it revived his career.
It not only revived his career, it saved his life. I mean, the guy was spiraling down the rabbit hole, a wreck,
which is so ironic that of all of the character that he would play would be a raging alcoholic.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows how to do it. He's like, he was the perfect Iron Man.
Not just looks. I mean, you look at the way Tony Stark was drawn in the comics, and then you look at Robert Downey Jr. It's almost akin to, Sir Patrick Stewart playing Professor X. I mean, how could you not have Robert Downey Jr. play Tony Stark?
See, I was going to say Alan Rickman as Severus Snape, because every time I've read a Harry Potter book, that was the face I saw. And then when the movies came out, it's like, oh my God. Like, you can't cast better.
They were so on point. Because I remember the first day I found out the announcement that he was going to be Iron Man, I was like, oh shit, this is like the most perfect piece of life. I mean, literally, it gave me life. I was just like, oh, he's gonna kill this shit.
This ain't gonna
exactly
be
what I said.
This ain't gonna be Elektra. This is gonna be a real comic book movie.
Why did you bring up the movie that should never that shall remain untalked about?
All right. Well, I'll challenge you. Let's get a debate going. Which was the worst comic book movie of all time?
Daredevil.
Really? That wasn't going to be on the choice, but I'll throw it in there then. Daredevil, Elektra, or Green Lantern?
Daredevil.
Great
comic book series and Netflix series. Terrible movie.
Now, see, I could be forgiving a Daredevil. Michael Clark Duncan's portrayal of Kingpin was phenomenal.
Oh, he was on point.
Daredevil was the reason I believed Ben Affleck could play Batman, because he basically played Batman as Daredevil. So, I mean, those types of things I believed. Hell, I want to see what's-his-face play Bullseye again.
Oh.
Okay, he was a decent Bullseye. It's just like, I feel like the way the movie was set up, I feel like it was just too many timeline skits for me.
Yeah, it did feel like it was rushed, and of course, Jennifer Gardner as Elektra was just hot garbage. But I mean,
the reason why they got her was because she's hot.
Man, she was fucking Ben Affleck at the time.
I mean, yes. When you suck good dick, you can get up there. I mean, that's just the principle of Hollywood. Sometimes you gotta, you really gotta get in there and take out the teeth and get to it.
There you go. So I mean, you look at those, and it's, I can't really call it the worst movie of all time. Like, is it? To me, it's like Episode 2 of Star Wars. It's like, it's not great, but it's there.
Yeah.
But Elektra and Green Lantern, like it. I wake up in the morning and I flip a coin on which one I hate worse.
I'm not gonna lie though, but what about Batman versus Superman? I was kind of disappointed with it.
I saw the Ultimate Edition. It kind of redeemed me. Now, if we're talking theatrical release, hot garbage.
Oh yeah, hot garbage. Oh, and Blade 3.
I didn't mind Blade 3.
I didn't like, because again, it had Ryan Reynolds in it.
Well, I love Ryan Reynolds. His character was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
He even took Triple H's pedigree. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was funny as all get. I was like, did he really just do his wrestling move in the movie? Hashtag yes.
So I mean, like I'm not arguing the point that these aren't bad movies. They've been bad movies, but I'm talking the worst movie. And for me, it really is Elektra, because like I said earlier, with Ryan Reynolds' performance as Green Lantern, that's the redeemable quality I find in Green Lantern. There's nothing I could redeem Elektra from. Elektra, the film Elektra is like the embodiment of the X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool. Like, it just should not exist.
Oh, wait a minute. I just thought of one.
Uh-oh.
Okay. If not those, then I am definitely going to have to say the first Ghost Rider.
I can't argue that point.
Yep. Oh, and the first Incredible Hulk made by the dude.
Oh, Lang.
John Chow
and Lang.
Like that?
And Lang. I think that was his name. Lang.
Asian cat.
Ang. Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough.
You're talking about the one not with Ed Norton, but the I always want to say Christian Bale, because
the ones with the giant poodle.
It's the one that looks like Christian Bale, but he's not Christian Bale. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Some white guy.
Yeah, that one was kind of harsh to rush through too. I mean, but like,
it was the early 2000s too, when we think about it.
Right, but I mean, even obscure comic book movies, like, I would put The Crow Wicked Prayer above Elektra.
Whew! Why you gotta make my soul hurt?
Actually, you know what?
I'm trying to forget about that.
You know what? There's one redeeming quality to Elektra. I could think of one worse than Elektra, Green Lantern, or any of them we've mentioned thus far.
What's that?
Catwoman.
Ew. Oh, I think I coughed up something. Oh, I'm sick.
I completely forgot about Catwoman.
Well, guys,
my ears are bleeding from the name.
Wow.
That was the most painful thing you could say to me. I am very offended. I am like, that was not PC at all.
Well, you got.
Jesus. That's
well.
hurtful.
On that note, I have to get going, guys.
All right, John. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and what they can expect next on War of the Stars on Wednesday.
All right. Well, of course, you can find me anywhere, everywhere Realm of the Mist is found. You can also find me on Twitter at JohnMarkTolly1, because I am, of course, the #1 John Mark Tolly on Twitter. Also find me on Facebook at Mark Tolly, and on Instagram at John Tolly 3930. And this Wednesday, of course, will be War of the Stars, where we will be wrapping up our look at the women of Star Wars with the titular hero of the sequel series, Rey.
Kenobi, Palpatine, Skywalker.
Snoke.
Oh my goodness.
Nub. Rey Nub. Daughter of Nine Nub.
You're grounded. Go to your room.
But Dad.
What?
Son, no. Let me get my belt.
That's a noise a lot of kids nowadays need to hear. Is a leather belt escaping 6 loops on a pair of Levi's.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. My grandpa, man, he had like multiple belts, man. He had one that had like some wind resistance, had some holes in it, so it would even hit you faster. It's like you couldn't get away. It was Indiana Jenkins in my house.
Oh, my God. All right, John. We'll let
talk to you guys later.
I'm going to keep you around for a little bit, Anthony.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, you prefer Anthony or you prefer Tony?
Oh, you can call me Tony, Anthony. Just don't call me late for dinner. You know the simple things.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go Tony, man. You're my Tony Stark now.
I wish Tony Stark IQ and money. Shoot.
Money? I would take what he carries around in his wallet. Just the loose change.
Oh, God. It's like, what's this $1 bill doing in my pocket?
Right? But
like, put that in the ashtray. I'm going to use it for a J later.
On the agenda, the only thing I have left is last night's episode of Game of Thrones to discuss.
Okay, now I'm late to the party. Okay, I'm still on season 2.
Okay,
I'm super late to the party because like I just haven't had no time to sit down and watch it. And it's not like I'm anti Game of Thrones or nothing like that. I'm just new to the party, and I know it's on the last season, so I'm a little ashamed.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, man. For your sake, because we're going to talk, I'm gonna go over it real quick, but I'm not gonna be as spoiler free of it as I can, and just kind of give an overall opinion of last night's episode.
I mean, go on ahead.
No, I don't want to ruin it for you. You're on season 2. The good shit's coming.
I've been warned. Do not get close to anybody in this show.
Mm-hmm.
You will die inside.
Look, has anybody warned you about the Red Wedding yet?
Yeah, I've been warned. I heard it's gruesome. I heard that's like one of the worst scenes.
Times 10. But it redeems itself because you get things like Battle of the Bastards in season 6. So,
yeah, see, that sounds awesome.
You'll be happy you stuck it out, but you just got to get to and through the Red Wedding, the most brutal thing. I've watched Faces of Death as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, real life death, the movie about real life death. You know, I've watched Faces of Death and was not as disturbed as this one scene in Game of Thrones.
I heard women, children, old people, infants, they were all getting it.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you. I'll wait until I'll get the message on Facebook and I'll be like, oh, yeah. You'll ping me on Facebook Messenger and be like, what the fuck? And I'll be like, what the fuck? Oh, you got the Red Wedding, didn't you?
It's like I'm officially without a soul now. It is gone.
Oh yeah, for anybody, like, I enjoyed it story-wise, you know what I mean? Like, because it was a very gruesome and dark thing, and you like good stories that don't always have the cheery, happy ending. Yeah, but if you enjoy what happens on screen, you need to go see a psychiatrist after the Red Wedding. If you could look at that.
I'm scared to watch the Red Wedding episode. You got me so nervous. Oh.
But it does make up for itself in the Purple Wedding. Like I said, the Battle of the Bastards, Hard Home. There's some good shit coming. There's some good shit coming, but there's some traumatizing things that happened in last night's episode, and I'm pissed about those traumatizing things.
Yeah, I've seen a whole bunch of stuff on the internet. I've been like, la 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 la. I can't read this.
It
seems like as soon as the episode comes out, as soon as the episode's over, it seems like everybody puts everything on the social media.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm like, I gotta literally shut myself from social media for like the next 5 hours after the show.
No, you really do, and that's why I'll be spoiler free on this. It's like, two characters died in this episode, one of which I hate to say it this way, but I was kind of like, meh. I understand that it was a plot point to get things moving for the last 2 episodes, but the other character that died just came out of the blue. Those that seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it literally fell from the sky. Like, it was that sudden. And hint. And oh my God. Otherwise, this is a return back to typical Game of Thrones, where we got the dialogue, we got the intrigue, we got the playing and vying for power. We're celebrating the Battle of Winterfell, and just excellent. I know a lot of people were expecting the last 3 episodes to be basically like episode 3, the Long Night, where it's an hour and a half of just footage of battles. But I'm happy they are still sticking with the drama too, that they are doing a build-up and character developments, and I'm impressed with this episode. I actually like this episode a lot more than last week's episode, personally. Not to say that I disliked The Long Night, but I definitely think Last of the Starks was a solid episode, and it's definitely got me excited for the last 2 episodes of the series. God, already 2 left.
I can't believe that the show's ending. Like, and I'm just like, dang, why did I have to be so late to the party? I mean, I'm investing a lot of hours in these episodes, so I already know I'm not going to be able to catch up.
Well, here's the thing. Like, number one, at least that you have access to be able to watch the episodes and catch up and get involved. And like I've told people that didn't watch Game of Thrones and then decide to sit down and watch it, and at first they're like, what is this? And I always tell them, it's like, look, get past the first 3 episodes. Once you get past
past that, that's when it starts getting awesome.
Oh yeah, that's where you start getting invested, and that's where the shit just starts hitting the fan. And when you really think about it, I mean, you're talking about a whole entire series of TV shows. It's not even a total of 100 episodes, because each season, except for last season and this one, were 10 episodes.
I know.
You know,
and on top of that, like, their budget is gigantic.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Especially for these last few episodes I heard.
Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. They've got movie quality budget. So, and you do see where they cut corners from time to time. Did you see this shit about like where they're at the celebration of last night's episode, and there was a scene at the table. Somebody had forgotten their Starbucks coffee cup, and it was filmed on the table.
Oh my gosh!
Go look. There's a scene where they're looking at Daenerys at the table. Right next to her is a Starbucks coffee cup.
Whoops!
Yep, somebody's in trouble.
Somebody's getting fired. Well, you will never work in this town again. It was a Starbucks cup. I'm sorry.
Right? That's what you get for drinking Starbucks. No. Overall,
I'm more of a Scooters guy myself.
Give me Wawa or Dunkin'. That's all I need.
Man, I haven't seen a Wawa since I was in Florida for 6 months.
Well, there you go. See? That's something I've been arguing. Here where I'm at in Philadelphia, they have been putting like a Wawa on every freaking block, and it's ridiculous. I
wish they come to the Midwest.
That's something I've been saying. If Wawa really wants to expand and impress, take your asses out west.
I'm with that.
Start moving to the western side of the Mississippi. You know what I mean?
I mean, shoot, look at Quick Trip.
You know, go to Colorado. The only competition you have there is 7-Eleven. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, 7-Eleven is just a staple the further you go west. I mean, shoot. I was in Japan, man. 7-Eleven is like the art of survival.
Right. But I'm saying, like, 7-Eleven would go out of business if Wawa started to go nationwide.
Oh, holy cow. Especially with all the stuff they have in one Wawa. Oh, my gosh.
You know, so, but I mean, you know, long and the short of it is, like, not only do you have the DVDs or certain streaming services or whatever where you could catch up on the episodes, according to sources, again, don't know if it's true or not, but from what I understand, I know HBO has announced that they are working on a Game of Thrones prequel.
That's what I heard.
I hate using the term prequel because it's not like it's, you know... Well, no, prequel would be the right term. It's not a trilogy. But, it's supposed to take place dealing with the rise of the Mad King, from what I understand. But... Oh, God. Apparently, George R.R. Martin is in talks with HBO to not only do that series, but 2 other spin-off series of Game of Thrones. So you may be looking at 3 different series of Game of Thrones spinning off.
Oh my gosh. My Sunday is completely gone. It's gone. I might as well just light it on fire right now. Where's the gasoline at, y'all?
So you could at least look at it this way from a certain point of view. You're coming in at the right time because now you're going to catch up and go through all the stuff, and you're going to catch it all at once. You know, if you sit down and binge watch it or whatever, and be set for the new shit when it starts dropping.
Man, that's crazy though, man. It seems like this is one of the things I love about the age we live in is the fact that nerd culture is expanding to the point where even your regular average Joe is like, shoot, I gotta watch Game of Thrones. Like, people that weren't even into these type of things like back in the day. This shows how much we're kind of evolving with the fantasy genre and just anything in general. Like, it takes me back to what I said before with the Avengers. This is like Game of Thrones is now like a culture.
Oh, it
like
really
Star
is.
Wars, like any type of comic universe, anime, or anything of that nature. Like, people want to be these characters. People fantasize about these characters. People draw art. There's so much dedication to Game of Thrones now. It's its own culture. It's now its own entity. It's never going anywhere.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, when you have fan fictions and fan-made episodes and films being released, you know you've done something. Like, people are that passionate about what you created. Props to not only George R.R. Martin, but Benioff and Weiss and the television series that they spawned out. Yeah. Which, quite honestly, I mean, that, you know, makes me even more excited about them working on a trilogy for Star Wars, which, from what I understand, it still hasn't necessarily been confirmed by Lucasfilm. But it looks like they're doing the Old Republic, which, from Gate, when they were announced that they were doing a trilogy, I said, you don't hire the guys from Game of Thrones and not do the Old Republic.
No, they're gonna be doing like Knights of the Old Republic style.
Yeah, like
Holy cow!
4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. Yeah,
that is going to be some straight up insanity.
You don't hire the guys that did Game of Thrones and give them just a humdrum trilogy. You give them the Old Republic.
You know what? I'll be excited to watch those movies. I will be really excited to watch that. You know what? If we're gonna kick it old school, let's kick it old school. Then
that's it.
That's where they need to go. I think they need to do that. They need to do a little touch up. Speaking of which, what's your thoughts on the third movie that's coming out for this series of Star Wars?
Rise of the Skywalker?
Indeed.
I'm excited. First off, I'm not one of the Last Jedi haters. There's certain things in it I would have changed.
Yeah, same here.
There's certain things in it that I believe were purpose red herrings, like Rey's parentage. There's certain things that I just accept as filmmaker's choice. Was it my favorite? When it first came out, I ranked it up there with Empire Strikes Back.
Oh.
Like, not exactly Empire, but in the top 3 alongside Rogue One. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I really thought it was a better movie than later on I started picking it apart. And fair enough, some of the toxic fan base kind of got to me a little bit too. It's like, well, yeah.
Well, you know how Star Wars fans are, man. They are brutal.
Oh yeah, they are. You know,
and they'll harass people who were just actors in the movie, and then they got to shut down their social media.
Well, see, I am completely against that. Like, for the argument's sake, like the character of Rose Tico, I didn't care for the character. I felt she was out of place in the Star Wars universe. That's nothing against the actress. You know, Kelly Marie Tran did not deserve the look. Everybody hates Jar Jar Binks, but you guys damn near drove Ahmed Best to suicide. That man was just trying to make a paycheck and play a character that he was hired to play. He don't need to be harassed and hounded to the point of suicidal tendencies for a character just because you didn't like the character. Not you, I mean the fan base.
Oh, no. I agree, because, like, people don't understand that, like, hey, these are creative ideas. It's not always going to be something you agree with, and you acting like a little child. You're no better than the Kylo Ren character, in my opinion.
No, you're not wrong.
I mean, basically, I feel like Kylo Ren is a really good reflection of Star Wars fans that take it to a whole different level they didn't need to.
I'll agree, but I won't agree, because Kylo's way more powerful than those fan base should be.
Well, I mean, I agree with that statement. I mean, just like, I'm just saying, like, the personality.
Yeah, the unstable personality.
I mean, seriously, like, okay, it's one thing to love Star Wars, but if it's coming to a point where you can't even just enjoy it, because, I mean, when it comes down to it, we didn't think years ago that, you know, something like this would be possible. I mean, it was the 70s when they did the first movie.
Right.
I mean, nobody thought something like this would be possible And then on top of that, the way it's evolved, like I feel like sometimes certain fans feel this entitlement of, pointing out all the flaws in a movie or pointing out flaws in the actor or actress. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, can't you just enjoy it? If you don't like it, that's one thing to have an opinion. But when you're going in and you're hurting people or you're just trying to ruin people's lives, that's when you need to take a look at yourself. Are you really a fan of this? Or are you just a cancer to the culture?
You see, that you're hitting the nail right on the head. Like, not only with the actors and actresses, but I mean towards other fans of the franchise.
Oh my, yes.
I'm a person, like, to give an example, I'm a person, of course I grew up with the original trilogy, so of course to me they're going to be the greatest of the whole entire saga.
Right.
And of course there was bad things about the prequels, but there was great things about the prequels too. I loved them. I love all Star Wars, but here's the rub. I'm one of those fans. I love the EU, the Legends series, all the old books, all the old comics. I love them. But when Disney bought the franchise and said all that shit is no longer canon, we're going to be coming up with our own stuff, I was super excited. Great, I'm going to get stuff I don't know. That's awesome. And what has come out, I love. I'm kind of on the fence about Solo, but I mean, I love what they've been doing. I love the fact that I get to look forward to going to the theater and seeing another Star Wars film. That, you remember back in 1983, I never thought there'd ever be another one. Back in 2005, I never thought there'd be another one. Now we're 2019 and we got episode 9 coming.
I know. And it's crazy because I remember when I came into the world and okay, I was watching the older ones, okay? What they would usually do every couple of years is just like, put out, okay, remaster digital copy, remaster CGI, remaster this. Like,
special
and then
edition,
when episode
super special edition.
It's like, this special edition comes with a Chewbacca action figure. Like, I remember that. And then, like, when they said they were doing episode 1, I was so pumped, man. I had the Star Wars games. Like, all that, man. I had the pod racing game from N64. Bro, I was hyped.
I remember that. And that, oh my God, like, I'm hyped for the new Jedi Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
Jedi Fallen Order, that's what it is. The new game coming out. Oh my God.
Oh man, it's gonna be dope because as long as it's as cool as what was the name of the one where you could either you were Darth Vader's apprentice? What am I thinking of?
Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed. It was as dope as Force Unleashed. I can't wait. Like, seriously.
That's really the vibe I get from it. And if it plays half as much as that, like, all the people that bitch about, Battlefront 1 and 2, like, they should shut up.
Okay, first of all, like, okay, don't play it if you don't like it. Simple. There's other people that are going to play it. I mean, people were playing the hell out of the first Battlefront. Yes, the Battlefront 2 had its glitches. They tried patching it up. If you don't like it, don't play it. That's the way I see it. Like, in this day and age, you can do your research. You can watch Let's Plays before you buy the game.
Right. Well, see,
I mean, seriously. This isn't like, we got to wait for the magazine to come out next month, like back in the day. You used to have to wait for, like, the IGN magazine or the GameStop magazine or something like that to find out the reviews on it.
But like with Battlefront 2, and then I'll get back to what I was saying as far as like the fandom is concerned. There's only 2 complaints I really had about Battlefront 2. One, the shady business dealings they did with the loot crates, the pay to win. Oh
my God, I
ideals.
hate those pay to win games.
Mm-hmm. And thank God that got switched out. That got changed. But also the fact that they gave us a campaign, which was a great campaign, and one campaign DLC, which was a great DLC, but game-wise, total, it was maybe 7 hours.
Oh, yeah. It was a short game.
You know what I mean? Like, they concentrated way too much on the multiplayer and not enough on the campaign. I think they could have done a lot more with the campaign because it was what they gave us was solid. They should have given us more. Yeah. But those are really my only two complaints about Battlefront, and one of which they corrected. So when I hear people still blasting Battlefront 2, it's like, really?
I mean, we're years out now. I mean, what is it, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
When Battlefront 2 came out?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, they didn't even get a life.
That's it.
Like, either that or go play Battlefront 1. I'm pretty sure there's some people still on the server.
Oh, there is. You can still play Battlefront 1. But getting back to the fandom, like I was saying with the example, like I'm a person that loves all Star Wars. The EU, the new canon, the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, and all the spin-offs. Like I said, I'm kind of on the fence about Solo.
I mean, Solo was painful. I'm kind of sad though that they're not going to do the Obi-Wan movie because I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. Him and Mace Windu are my favorite Jedis.
Right. I wouldn't write it off just yet. I mean, Ewan McGregor's pushing for it. The fan base wants it. I don't see them not doing it.
I mean, I feel like they can do Obi-Wan justice. Like, I remember when they gave Obi-Wan Kenobi his solo standoff game back on Xbox.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the hell out of that. Obi-Wan Kenobi is super dope. I feel like, I mean, come on, this is the guy that trained Luke Skywalker, for crying out loud. He deserves this.
Yeah.
He deserves it. I've been waiting for this my whole entire life. Okay, maybe I was a little too dramatic, but still, the fact is, I think Obi-Wan deserves a spotlight as like a solo character. Or heck, you know what they also need to do?
What's that?
They need to do a bounty hunter style Star Wars movie. Like they need to have like Boba Fett or Jango Fett with his own standalone like movie.
Well, you do know they're on the Disney streaming service. They're releasing The Mandalore, which has already been signed on for a second season. It hasn't even piloted yet.
What is The Mandalore exactly? I haven't heard about this.
Mandalore is going to be a live-action TV show on the Disney Plus app when it launches later this year. It is following a Mandalorian through the Star Wars universe. I really don't know much more.
My going to combust this year.
I do not know much more about it than that, except for the fact that the director is John Favreau. Yes, Iron Man director John Favreau.
Well, shut up and take my money, Disney.
And John is signed on for season 2, which has already been greenlit. They haven't even released the damn first season yet.
There are some powerful essences with the mouse in charge.
I'm telling you, we're all going to be bowing to our mouse overlord very soon. They're going to own everything. Realm of the Mist will be presented by freaking Disney, and I'm fine with it.
Hey, we can make that Disney money. I'm cool with that.
That's it. As long as the front of the check says Bob Iger, I'm down. Let's do it. But going back to the fandom, as I described, I'm one of those ultimate Star Wars fanboys. I'll read everything you put in front of me. I'll watch everything you put out for me, whether I like it or I don't, and I'll talk about it. I don't dog anybody if they liked it better than I did or didn't like it as much as I did. But then you have the fan base out there that, oh, if you like anything other than the original trilogy, you're not a true fanboy. Oh, if you would like the new canon instead of the EU is the true canon. That shit's bullshit, and you're not a true fan if it's like Disney titsucker and blah, blah.
Oh, those people make me so mad. I'm just like, do you remember what this is for? This is supposed to be fun.
Right.
You're making it a fucking nightmare.
That's exactly it.
I hate those fans. Like, okay, I don't hate nobody, but I dislike those fans that just can't even enjoy it anymore. It's just like they're expecting like everything in one movie. You got to realize the longest movie right now is that Infinity War movie that just came out, okay? I mean, these movies can only go about maybe max 3 hours if they had the budget for it.
Right.
So, I mean, not everything's going to be perfect. You're nitpicking here, you're nitpicking there. They'll be like, for instance, here's a good example. Like somebody said to me that, I didn't like the way they had the setup in the casino scene in the last movie for Star Wars.
Right.
It's like I don't like how they did that. Like I feel like they could have did this, they could have did that. On top of that, like why did they have the kid in there? Blah blah blah. Da, da, da. I'm just like, dude, did you see that whole scene? That scene was magic. The way they had everything set up, I was like, dang man, I wish I could go there. It was beautiful. And
see, I was one of those people, I didn't care for the Canto Bite stuff, and it wasn't because of what was filmed. It's because the director decided to use that to push personal politics, and that's where I kind of had an issue, because like you said, Star Wars is supposed to be imagination, fun, a chance to escape reality. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on politically or what your world views are and stuff like that. When I go to a film like Star Wars, I want to escape that. I want to have a couple hours where I can live in a galaxy far, far away and not live in a world that I see on the news 24/7.
Basically a burning dumpster fire.
Right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're a person who believes in AOC's Green New Deal and that socialism's the way to go, power to you. If you're a Trump supporter who believes that we should make America great again, power to you. But when Star Wars, leave your opinion outside and let me enjoy my battle between good and evil.
Damn it, yes. That was a TED Talk.
You know what I mean? That's why I didn't care for the Canto Bite scene. However, cinematography wise, oh yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. All the different creatures. It was a modern version of the cantina scene in Episode 4.
I know, it was it was beautiful. That's just the thing. For me, I've always loved the visuals of Star Wars. That's always been my thing. I feel like it's just like I was like, man, I wish I could be kind of immersed in this universe. I've always been a guy of visuals.
Right.
So from the lightsabers to the cities, the different vehicles they're using, the ships. Like I look at those details and I enjoy those details. Even from the movies people disliked. Like there are some details. I'm just like, you got to realize a lot of this stuff is before its time most of the time. Star Wars in the beginning was before its time.
No, there was no such thing as practical effects like that. George Lucas had to invent ILM to make Star Wars work.
That's what I'm saying. Like people don't realize this. Like you take this for granted, man. Like a decade ago, this wouldn't have been like possible even for the stuff we have now currently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, enjoy the evolution of it.
And here's another one for everybody out there: people that are Lord of the Rings fans, people that are Star Trek fans, people that are fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe or DC. All those special effects and everything else, you could thank Star Wars, because if not for Star Wars, that shit would not have existed. Star Trek, especially, you would never have gotten all. What are they at? 13 Star Trek movies, if it wasn't for Star Wars. Because Star Wars' success is why Paramount turned around and said, look, we've got Star Trek. Let's make a film. Look what these guys fucking did.
Right.
Star Trek there would have been no Next Generation, no Deep Space Nine, no Voyager, no Star Trek Discovery, no Enterprise. None of that would have existed if it wasn't for Star Trek or Star Wars.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So, like, I understand if you like one fandom more than another. I understand if you like one story more than the other. I understand that. But don't dog one because it didn't fit your fan base, your fan theories,
your
vision, or because somebody's opinion differed from yours.
You can agree to disagree, shake hands, and still enjoy the same culture.
That's it, because, the funny thing about Star Wars fans is all of them bitch about, like, oh, how Solo destroyed their childhood. Oh, Last Jedi destroyed their childhood. Damn right well they're going to be in line with you, me, and everybody else when Episode 9 comes out in December.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be there. Same fans complaining right now are going to be the same fans. It's sort of like the saying, they love you, then they hate you again.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's gonna go. They're gonna love it again. They're gonna hate it again. There's no satisfying everybody in this world.
There's not. And you're absolutely right. Like, you think about it back in the day, Empire Strikes Back is arguably one of the greatest Star Wars films ever made. But it was made in 1980. You know, if you think about it, if the internet was around back in 1980, they'd probably be given the same grief and hate for Empire Strikes Back that they gave The Last Jedi.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let's be real. You know, you killed off Han Solo by freezing him in metal, chopped off Luke's hand, and supposedly Darth Vader's his father. What kind of unrealistic bullshit is that? Oh no, this is a horrible movie. It's a
good thing the internet was not in the 80s.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, people be saying that, you know. And I firmly believe, like, when the prequels came out, internet was on its rise, and people hated on the prequels. It's not my trilogy, not my trilogy, not my trilogy, blah, 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 blah. 20 years...
especially the older fans.
Especially the older fans. But then here comes the sequel trilogy, and everybody's now forgiving about the prequels. Like, most of us still agree that Episode 2 is a hot mess, but...
that was rough.
That was rough, but, like, Episode 3 was epic in its own right and scale.
Oh, everybody talked about Episode 3 for years.
And Episode 1's starting to get more love than it used to. I guarantee you, Episode 7, 8, and 9, give it 10 years, and people will be singing its praises instead of talking trash on it. It'll find its place. Yeah. They will find its place. But I to answer your question a long roundabout way, I really expect a lot from Episode 9. I do. I expected to answer the questions that were presented to us in 7. I expected to address the issues of Episode 8, but it's also supposed to connect the whole entire saga. All previous films can interconnected to this film.
This is going to be the important one.
That's a tall order. Plus, it's finishing 42 years of storytelling.
Oof.
That is a hell of a burden. So I expect a lot from this film. I'm expecting this to be the Star Wars film of Star Wars films. Well, I think the franchise deserves that.
Well, we're going to find out at the end of the year, man.
That's it, And judging off of a 1 minute, 30-second teaser trailer, they're off to the right start.
I know. I'm like, God, December can't get in here any sooner. November. Was it December, November when it's coming out?
December.
Well, Christmas present.
That's it, It's going to be a depressing... It's a depressing year for nerdom, man. Like, Game of Thrones is ending. Avengers just ended the whole entire phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm about to leave in a few. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
1 second.
And now we're getting set to end the Star Wars franchise, at least the saga, the original Skywalker saga. This is a depressing year for fandom.
Oh, it really is. Sincerely. But we got to have the good times and the bad.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, it does help to know that, like, Marvel has another phase coming with new superheroes. We know there's new Star Wars films coming. We know there's spin-off shows for Game of Thrones. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just sad to know that these franchises are coming to the zenith of their respective time frames. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited but apprehensive of it all. But I do hear you want to go, so before we do, I want to take a moment. It's the first time I've actually got to sit down and talk to you, and I've got you on air for all the fans of Realm of the Mist. Anthony is a podcaster, a podcasting host of a show called Delivery Brothers Podcast. You may have noticed...
A.K.A. the Delivery Bros.
A.K.A. the Delivery Bros. You may have noticed that he's been his show has been starting to show up on Realm of the Mist because he has joined the Realm of the Mist family. I want to take a moment. I'm going to interview the guy that has a lot of aliases, AKAs. It's hard to list all.
Oh my gosh!
And I want to talk about your show, what you're passionate about. let people know who may not have checked out your show yet what they can expect from a Delivery Bros podcast.
Okay, first of all, anything on the table, anything on the menu. Sincerely, that is like the whole structure of my format. Along with that, like, I'm telling you, we'll have different people of all different personalities. It could be your modern day walk of life person all the way up to business owners. Like, I just did like a series with this wrestling promotion called Journey Pro. Shameless plug for them. And they're a local promotion here in Kansas City, Missouri, where I'm from. I've talked to models. I've talked to like influencers, all types of people. I got a lot of things in the works in some of these episodes. We have a lot of dialogue, whether we're talking about mental health, we're talking about whatever's going on in current events, or just in everyday life. On top of that, another thing is I'm not afraid to have dialogue on anything. If you have a story, you have something you want to say, you have an opinion, that's what this podcast is for. This is a podcast for everybody. Everybody of any color, creed, orientation. It's free speech. We talk about nerd stuff. We have fun, okay? That's my show. Like, you're going to laugh. You might think. You might cry a little bit. This is what I want. I want it to be something that, kind of brings a little bit more, I guess, incentive to people's emotions. That's why I do it.
Well, right on. I pinpointed on something you said here. You said you just got done interviewing a promoter for a local wrestling federation out there in Missouri.
Yes, sir.
As a former pro wrestler myself, I
You're
get that.
a former pro wrestler.
I'm a former pro wrestler. For 20 years, I wrestled from New Jersey to Colorado, from New York to Florida. I was the East Coast kid, Matt Wild. I retired back in 2015.
Did you do Jersey All Pro?
I did Jersey All Pro.
Okay, I love that promotion.
But that wasn't the purpose of my story. Another shameless plug. We have another podcaster that we are friends with. He's not with the Realm of the Mist family, but he is a good friend of ours. I've done his show before, WPS Podcast, but he also has another one called This Is the Thing. And he is revamping This Is the Thing to be an interview style podcast of just professional wrestlers. His passion is professional wrestling.
That's awesome.
So, since you have connections out in Missouri, let your people know that there is a guy that would love to talk to the talent, interview them, and give them an opportunity not only to talk about like current storylines, but like their road stories, how they got into the business, like really sell themselves individually. So
got some
giving a shout out to my boy.
Here.
Giving a shout out to my boy Liam and This Is the Thing podcast, guys. Check them out, and of course WPS podcast. They are crazy. They're another one like Delivery Bros. They'll give you whatever you want to hear. I mean, I was hooked as soon as I heard they interviewed a furry.
I mean, seriously, heck, I would like to talk to this guy. I'm kind of pumped to talk to him myself. I might need you to help me set up some dialogue with this gentleman.
I can make that happen.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Like I said, anything on the table, anything on the menu, that's always been my model. So we could go ahead and talk wrestling, or we could just, seriously.
I can get him involved in that. I mean, you want to sit down and talk wrestling, I guarantee he'll be in the chair ready to go. So
heck yeah. I'm telling you, because the promotion out here, it's a new promotion, but we've had a lot of people like speak upon it. I'm not a part of the promotion myself. I try to help promote them through the podcast that I do,
right? Because
I believe in the promotion, and I've talked to the promoter. This new interview I have is with a promoter named Walter Fulbright. At the last promotion they had indie superstar Joey Ryan there, the king of the dong style. Yeah, like he dick flips people and stuff like that. Like the dude was awesome.
I've seen his videos.
Yeah, he was actually at the last event. I actually got to go. It was an incredible event. It was professional, and then on top of that, it was cinematic from how they did the camera. They did the camera angles and the contrast and everything. So If you're an independent wrestling fan, I recommend going to independentwrestling.tv. And then on top of that, I found out you got a code. It's Journey, and you get 20 days free off of it too. And after that, it's like $10 a month. You can't beat that.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
That's what I'm saying. And it's not just their promotion. It's like I saw like at least a good 30 to 40 promotions on there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. So
And
you want to watch some indie wrestling, you got it on tap.
I've always argued that. Like, ever since I retired, I can't watch the WWE. The storylines are trash to me, and the talent has gotten worse and worse. There's no larger than life characters, really. I mean, you still got your mainstays like the Undertaker. Well, you haven't had it since CM Punk. I mean, you still have the Undertaker, kinda, and I'll give credit to like Bray Wyatt, but
that was a good character.
But like everybody's becoming way too realistic, and this is coming from a guy who played a character who was supposed to be a street kid. Okay, so I was as as realistic character as you could be in the world of superheroes. Right. But wrestling is supposed to be larger than life, and I think WWE has lost sight of that. I've always argued, why would you pay $75, $150 to go to a WrestleMania when you could pay $10 and go to your local independent store and see some real talent busting their stones out there to give you guys the best? Yeah, okay, they can't afford the big pyrotechnics and the Jumbotron, but they go out there and they give you their blood, sweat, and tears every freaking show, guys. Go support your local indies. Give them guys and girls some loves.
Like, for instance, like, I feel like the Christian Roses and the Jeremy Wyatts and things like that, they get overshadowed, especially when they've wrestled a lot of these guys that are now on WWE.
Right.
Seth Rollins said that Jeremy Wyatt is actually like one of the best wrestlers he's ever faced when he was in the Indies.
I remember meeting AJ Styles in Colorado.
Gosh.
Back before he was, the phenomenal AJ Styles of WWE, when he was, Ring of Honor AJ Styles, and the such, NWA's AJ Styles. And they're very different people than you see on TV because they were shooting for that brass ring the same as everybody else. They were one of the boys. They still are. To an extent, I'm not picking on the talent at all. Once you're a brother and sister in the business, you're a brother and sister in the business for life, no matter what federation you work for. But
right,
the guy you see on TV, that AJ Styles, I don't mean to talk down on his ability, but it's not a tenth of what AJ Styles was in the indie circuit.
I mean, sure, that AJ Styles was young. Young as fry. He used to hit the rope work a little bit more than he does now.
Right. I'm not
do
saying
it like that anymore.
I'm not just meaning the age, but it's also the hunger. He's where he wanted to be, as opposed to the independent AJ Styles, who was the guy looking to get to the WWE.
Oh yeah, sure. He was doing more risky stuff back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Even in his TNA days, he was doing more risky stuff.
That's exactly what I'm meaning. It's like when you go to an independent circuit, you're watching people who are dreaming of that day. And they are fighting tooth and nail to get to that day. So you're guaranteed some great performances.
Shoot, I've already mentioned this on my podcast. Man, the craziest thing I saw at the show I went to last month, I saw this gentleman, Christian Rose, take this other gentleman, Monty Michael, who's about the size of a cruiserweight, and threw him in a razor's edge onto the canvas of the ring.
Okay.
I had never seen such a brutal bump in my life. Literally, you just see him put him up, razor's edge. He goes for a running start and then launches him right onto the side of the ring. Just the canvas, just brutal.
Ugh.
I have never seen anything so wild in my life. You can't do that in WWE.
They used to. No, to be fair, I mean, especially when I think, and we could talk about this a moment. I know you like to talk about everything. We'll hit this for a minute. I think the WWE lost something when they closed down WCW and ECW.
Oh, yeah.
Because back during the Attitude Era and the rise of professional wrestling, the real rise of it, the 90s and the 2000s, the early 2000s, they had competition. Like, they were at odds with WCW, and then here's this little indie circuit federation coming up from Philadelphia. Proud, thank you very much. That's pulling shit that you've never seen before. Vince and company had to step up their game or get left behind. But now that there's no real... yes, I know there's Ring of Honor. Yes, I know there's TNA. But to be honest, are either of them really on the caliber of WWE? No. And are they going to get there financially or whatever? Probably not. Let's be real about it. Vince has built an empire. But the problem is that empire now has a monopoly and no competition, so it has no reason to push itself that much more.
Now, I don't know, because you heard about All Elite Wrestling.
What's that?
You've heard about All Elite Wrestling, right?
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
The investor that they have for this owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. That guy has millions of dollars.
Okay.
Just like the McMahons did, or do. When it comes down to it, they may have competition in the near future, especially with the new All-In event that's coming actually this month.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, I'm actually going to buy the pay-per-view because I want to see it. And who they got on the lineup, it's going to be amazing. I mean, I'm seeing Pentagon Jr. is going to be there. We're going to see Chris Jericho. We're going to see Kenny Omega.
That's where I know
Young
about
Bucks.
All Elite. That's where I know about All Elite. Now you're naming names that I knew jumped ship over there, and I'm like, what's this All Elite thing? That's like, where I know the name, yeah.
I heard. Shoot, I think a couple people from WWE are trying to get out of their contracts and go there. They're talking about it's going to be a good payday.
Well, good.
Like, they're getting paid more. Rumor has it, like, they're getting paid more to go to All Elite than they were in their contracts with WWE.
Well, look.
And they can still do independent shows.
Good. You know what? I'm thrilled. I'm happy to hear that because of multiple reasons. Like, when I was saying that, like, TNA and Ring of Honor are not at the caliber of WWE, I'm not talking about talent-wise. I'm not talking about the quality of show that they produce. I'm saying as far as, like, the major conglomerate of WWE and its empire and the money that it puts in, you're probably not going to raise up there. However, if All Elite's throwing money like it's no object to make them be a competition to the WWE, not only is that great for them and the talent that they're bringing into their roster, but that should give Vince and his company a kick in the ass to start doing what WWE used to do. And that's just great all around for the wrestling fan in general.
From what I heard, too, because since Chris Jericho's really behind this promotion, Vince banned him from WWE.
I'm not surprised.
Vince is pissed off about this.
Of course he is. Of course he is. But you know what? I can't blame Jericho. Like, not only from a business standpoint, but from a professional one, I don't think Jericho was ever truly used right in WWE. Like the Y2J gimmick and the list gimmick, yeah, they were funny, but what did he ever really do with Jericho?
I mean, besides being like the first the first undisputed champion, like not much. I feel like in a way WWE didn't deserve Chris Jericho.
Well, that's it. I mean, WCW and ECW, they gave him his love and respect. Japan, there's few people.
Oh my gosh,
they
worship him in Japan, man. Even in Mexico.
That's what I was about to say. People in Japan, like, there's very few people that could touch Jericho in Japan. You know what I mean? And then you look at what E was doing, and they're having him job to, quite honestly, talent that didn't deserve it. Did not deserve that put over. You know, like that's how he spent sending out his last part of his, the lower end of his career after everything he's done.
Now, I will say this, like, a lot of that was Jericho's call. Because he wanted to put over some of these guys. And in the last couple of years he's done WWE when he came back again.
True.
Like, when when he came back, AJ Styles came in the picture, and he wanted to put AJ over. When they did that Best in the World thing for that WrestleMania, because I think that was one of the better matches WrestleMania.
I'm not meaning people like AJ Styles. Like, Styles has the talent, gimmick, and ability. Absolutely, I could definitely see Jericho being like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to put you over. But you remember that flamingo dancing guy?
Oh no, 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 Fandango.
Fandango, and he was in a feud with Jericho, and he owned Jericho. And I'm sorry, they're talent-wise, gimmick-wise, story-wise, there's no reason Jericho should have been putting him over.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that's just it though. The guy can wrestle. He's got skill. It's just a gimmick. I have a thing about gimmick wrestlers, like where they're like so gimmicky. It's kind of like it's just like a parody of something. That I did have a problem with that because I'm just like I can't take those wrestlers serious. It's sort of like when they used to have like construction worker pro wrestlers and stuff like that.
Oh come
and,
on!
Like their motto would be "It's quitting time."
Come on!
Like here comes the lunchbox slam.
Sometimes it works. Look at Al Snow and Head, or Shane Helms in the Hurricane.
Okay, well, I mean that's different though. Like, I feel like the way they did those characters was like it was funny, but at the same time, you wanted those guys to win because they were like the little guy versus like giant forces.
But I get it. I know what you're talking about. You're one of the worst gimmicks I ever saw was Jim the Anvil Neidhart. His alternate gimmick that he did for quite a short time. You could tell it was Jim the Anvil. His body shape, the singlet, even though it was yellow instead of the black and pink, and he's wearing a yellow mask with a question mark on it, and his gimmick name is Who. He's from who knows where, weighing who knows what. Like really? Or if you remember the Manitar or Isaac Yankem DDS.
Oh my gosh, you're bringing back memories that I was trying to forget, man.
The Goon.
The Goon. The Brooklyn Brawler.
I got to give respect to the Brawler. The Brawler was like the gimmick.
I mean, how many L's did the Brawler take?
Oh my God! Like him and Barry Horowitz. Like I think Barry beat him out.
Oh, Barry Horowitz! I was just watching something on him like the other night.
God, could you imagine being the guy? How happy that man must have been, like when Chris Candido let him beat him with a quarter Nelson, and finally gave him after like 20 plus years his first win. You know what I mean?
I mean, he must have been like, man, I got my ass whooped for 20 years for this moment. I know people were shocked. I mean, that's a celebration in itself.
Oh, that's
I remember when the Hardy Boys were jobbing at in their Saturday night when they used to do the Saturday morning wrestling events.
Yeah,
on WWE, like Saturday morning slam.
Yeah,
they used to job, and then when they finally made it to the big leagues, I was excited to see them actually winning matches.
But I mean, people like Barry Horowitz and Al Snow, like the Job Squad wasn't just a gimmick for Al Snow. Like between the two of them, they could tell you how many lights are in every arena around the world. They spent so much time on their back. Give them that push and that time in the spotlight. That had to feel incredible.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of the fact that like Bob Holly also did it too.
Oh God, Sparky Plug.
I mean, you think about it, like there were some people getting jobbed that didn't have no reason being jobbed like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
you know what huh?
I mean, you're not wrong. Again, look at Kane, Isaac Yankem DDS.
Oh,
the King's personal dentist brought in to take out Bret the Hitman Hart.
Those are some special times in our universe.
It really was. But for some reason, it was dumb, but it worked. In some way, shape, or form, it worked. Maybe not for the particular gimmick or the particular character, but just keeping wrestling alive and fresh and different, it worked.
Yeah, because it worked in the 80s. Like, Booker T was G.I. Bro before he became Booker T Harlem Heat with Stevie Ray.
Right. I mean, shit, look at The Rock. Even The Rock was the victim of it. When he
Rocky Maivia,
and he's coming out in the old High Chief Peter Maivia type gimmick.
And then he had the high top going and I've seen some of the old matches and I was just like, I'm so glad he evolved his like his character. When he joined the Nation of the Domination, that's when we started to get the best of The Rock.
Right. Especially the feud against D-Generation X, which brought out the best in everybody they went against.
Yes. That or shoot, the feud they had with Stone Cold Steve Austin, the whole Nation of Domination versus Stone Cold. Stone Cold going in there and he's whooping everybody's ass for the Intercontinental title. That was awesome.
Spraying them down with freaking beer trucks.
Then they tried it again with Kurt Angle with a milk truck.
Kurt Angle's a perfect example. That guy's a gold medal Olympian. That's not a gimmick. He is a gold medal Olympian. And that boy was willing to walk around being Vince McMahon's lackey with a little teeny tiny cowboy hat on.
That was funny.
You know,
I love the fact that Kurt did these gimmicks. Like when he lost the hair versus hair match. And then he was wearing like this fake wig with the wrestling headgear on.
Mm-hmm.
I lost it. I freaking lost it.
You know, sometimes the goofy gimmick works. Like I remember a guy, he doesn't do the gimmick anymore. Now, to me, it's a damn shame. But there was this dude that I knew in Rocky Mountain Championship Wrestling. And he was short and a little heavy set, and he was slow to moving. He had the heart of a lion. Okay, he may not have had at that time the greatest in-ring ability, but he had the heart of a lion. And we came up with this one gimmick because this kid was all personality. We all came up with this gimmick, and I mean, it just worked. It didn't matter how good or bad in the ring he was. Just playing the gimmick, it worked. We called him the Canadian Love Machine. And he would come out, and he would come out, and he would, dance around and, kind of pimping it, but he was Canadian, so he was very white boy about it, you know what I mean? And his maneuvers, like he had a step over arm breaker maneuver that he called the love handle.
Love handle?
Yes. And he had a sit out power bomb for a finisher that it was called the one night stand. Like the gimmick just worked. And it saddens me that he doesn't play the gimmick. He's moved on to another gimmick. I know he kind of distanced himself from the playful gimmick or the funny gimmick that Canadian Love Machine was. So I won't mention his name now. But that gimmick was phenomenal, and the way he played it, man. Like I said, he could be the complete drizzling shit, and nobody would care. That gimmick was so low.
You just made me think of Disco Inferno from WCW.
Really kind of similar. Yeah.
Oh my god. Let's see, what was his finishing move? The Last Dance.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Last Dance.
I've argued for years I wanted to get a guy who was really big and secure about himself, right? But that was willing to play a goofy gimmick. And I have argued for years I want to get a big guy to come out to the ring to like Hanson's Bop, dressed in Oshkosh by Bagosh, coming out with like Legos and shit. And wanting to play with the other kids, like bring them into the ring and play with them and all. He's just a giant kid. And to him, the wrestling match is just play fighting until they actually hurt him. And that's when he gets pissed off and kind of hulks out and beats him up. But to him, he just doesn't understand. He's a baby. He's a toddler. And I've argued forever that I wanted the character to be called Baby Stewie.
Oh my lord.
And give him like the skinniest little girl, skinniest little girl to be his quote unquote mother. You know what I mean? But like I've always said, like,
sounds like wild.
Tell me it wouldn't work.
I'm sorry, that would be great for the independent scene.
Tell me it would not be over. Like the fans would not eat that up. Kids would want to be the one chosen to sit in the ring and play jacks and Legos with Baby Stewie. You know what I mean?
Man, I could see that selling a lot of merch, actually.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the podcast, in wrestling, I was billed at 6'1", 221 pounds. I'm literally, well, at least when I was wrestling, I was literally 5'11" and 175 at best. So there's no way I could have played the character. But you get a good 300-pound big man, and you
like
just
a
let him.
Brodus Clay or something like that.
Yeah, but you have him skipping out to the ring and fucking Chuck Taylors and Oshkosh Babagosh and that helicopter
Basically,
beanie.
do like an AJ Lee with a dude.
Yeah, and the helicopter beanie to some kid song, like Baby Shark. Have him come out to Baby Shark. You know, Umbop was when I first came up with the gimmick. But yeah, Baby Shark, do or whatever. You know, whatever the kids dig right now. And have him play with the kids and just look at it as a big game until, you know, have him bust out crying when the referee's reprimanding him. You know, like the crowd would eat it up.
Oh, you just made me think of somebody that always cracks me up when he wrestles, and I still love him to this day. Cole Cabana.
Cole Cabana.
Cole Cabana. That I don't care. He could do the same gimmick forever. Okay, I always laugh. He did one with Toru Yano that I've watched a couple times if I'm having a bad day because I need a laugh. And it's the greatest thing ever. Like, Cole Cabana oh my gosh, he is so underappreciated in the wrestling community, I feel like sometimes. Because that man is a riot.
That's it. Yeah, I even dug, God, there's so many. There's so many of them that would be just great as a gimmick. You know, I could do a whole podcast about, you know, wrestling gimmicks, that like absurd wrestling gimmicks that would work.
Oh my gosh, we'd be here all night.
We really could, but maybe we should save that for when you're sitting down with Liam.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, I really appreciate you for letting me come on to this. Like, this has been a very fun conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much for jumping in. I'm glad you were able to make it. Too bad you didn't get to be there for the beginning when we paid homage to Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca, passing away. But otherwise, man, guys, definitely check out Delivery Bros podcast. You can find it here at Realm of the Mist at the YouTube channel. You can find it on the Anchor.fm Realm of the Mist channel, or where quality podcasts are heard. Or you can find it on its own independent channel, of course, which Anthony will tell you about right now.
Yeah, you can find us at Delivery Bros KC on Facebook. You can find us on Delivery Bros 816 on Twitter and on Instagram. So check us out. Listen to it. Have dialogue. Comment. Like. Share. Tell me if we suck. I don't care. If you have feelings towards what I got to say, then I think I'm doing it right.
It's something, right? And
right.
guys get used to his voice because he's going to be around a lot more often. As again, he has come into the Realm of the Mist family. We're lucky to have him. We're grateful to have him. And guys, you can check me out anywhere there is Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Make sure you check out the website and the link in the comments section down below, or the description section down below. You can find us on Anchor or wherever quality podcasts are heard. Tomorrow night, It Had to Be Said with Venus. Wednesday night, War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. And all the other great podcasts of Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Have a good night.
RLTM.